Hello everyone, this is the CircuitPython weekly meeting for Monday, June 9th, 2025. I'm Dan, and I'm sponsored by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython. In this weekly meeting we talk about all things related to CircuitPython. CircuitPython is a version of Python designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. This meeting is hosted on the Adafruit Discord server. You can join anytime by going to adafru.it/discord. We hold the meeting in the CircuitPython dev text channel and CircuitPython voice channel. CircuitPython development is primarily sponsored by Adafruit, so if you want to support Adafruit and CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from adafruit.com. This meeting typically happens on Mondays at 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, at 11 a.m. U.S. Pacific Time, except when it coincides with the U.S. holiday. In the notes doc, there's a link to a calendar you can view online or add to your favorite calendar app. We also send notifications about upcoming meetings via Discord. If you would like to receive these notifications, ask us to add you to the @CircuitPythonistas Discord role. There is a shared Google document that accompanies the meeting and the recording. You can contribute to this document beforehand. The final notes document includes timestamps to go along with the video, so you can use the document to skip around and view the parts of the meeting that interest you most. The meeting tends to run 30 to 60 minutes. After each meeting, we post a link for the next meeting's notes document to the CircuitPython dev channel on the Adafruit Discord. Check the pinned messages to find the latest notes doc, so you can add your notes for the following meeting. If you wish to participate but cannot attend, you can leave hug reports and status updates in the document for us to read during the meeting. This meeting is held in 5 parts, and I'll explain each part as we get to them. So I will start with community news and take a timestamp. So community news is where we look at all things CircuitPython and Python and hardware in the community. And these news items come from our Python and microcontrollers newsletter, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. So I picked 3 items for today. There are many more in the newsletter. First is that regular Python, that is CPython, or the Python you get from python.org, there have been a bunch of security patches for a whole bunch of versions of Python. So it seems like there was at least one pervasive security problem that was fixed across a lot of versions. So you can update your version of Python, is what I'd suggest. The next item is what is vibe coding? A computer scientist explains what it means to have AI write computer code and what risks that can entail. Vibe coding leans on standard patterns of technical language which AI systems can use to piece together original code from their training data. Any beginner can use an AI assistant such as GitHub, Copilot, or Cursor Chat, put in a few prompts, and let the system get to work. And there's a comment here about how this compares with usual coding, where you try to write tests for things and you look at what you're doing. So you're in vibe coding, you're just sort of saying, go at it and you come up with some code. And if you don't be careful with it, you can end up with code that looks nice that doesn't work, and so forth. I think vibe coding is personally, I think vibe coding is a kind of an optimistic title. And I would, in the same way that people talk about AI slop, sometimes vibe coding can be slop, AI slop coding. So be careful. And then the third item I've got is also related to this. It's titled The Wrong Way to Use AI and How to Actually Write Better Code with LLMs. So Sean Heimel quoted from a social media post in which someone named Vas, V-A-S, wrote, Claude 4 just refactored my entire code base in one call. 25 tool invocations, 3,000 new lines, 12 brand new files. It modularized everything, broke up monoliths, cleaned up spaghetti. None of it worked, but boy, was it beautiful. So Sean Heimel talks about this and says, like, you still have to be an engineer. You can't just let AI write code for you and expect it to work. And you have to use human judgment about things, and you have to guide it to do what you want. So I just reading that article, it's pretty interesting. So these and other items about Python and programming in general on microcontrollers, Python on microcontrollers, is from the Python on Microcontrollers weekly newsletter, which is a CircuitPython run community newsletter emailed every Monday. The archives are available online at adafruitdaily.com. If you'd like, we'd love it if you add items to the newsletter to make suggestions. You can email cpnews@adafruit.com and send us a link. You can hashtag CircuitPython or tag @engineer on Blue Sky, Mastodon, or X. Or you can open up a PR on our GitHub version of the weekly newsletter, which is in the Adafruit/CircuitPython weekly newsletter repo. So we really welcome your contributions, and the editor especially would appreciate them. So thanks very much. Now we'll move on to the next major section of the meeting, which is the state of CircuitPython, the libraries, and Blinka. This is a quantitative overview of the entire CircuitPython project. It gives us a chance to look at the health of the project separate from our status updates. We'll talk about the project overall and separately discuss the core, the libraries, and Blinka. So first of all, overall, in the past week, taking its timestamp here, there were 2 pull requests merged. Sorry, there we go. There were 2 pull requests merged, 12 pull requests merged by 6 authors and 6 reviewers. Reviewed those pull requests, and there were 9 closed issues by 7 people and 8 opened by 7 people. So we're keeping track. We have about the same number of closed and open issues. Moving on to the core. Let me take another timestamp. This is about the CircuitPython core itself. There were 2 pull requests merged, and they were by 2 authors. There were 2 authors of those pull requests, and there were 2 reviewers. Right now, there are 26 open pull requests. That's just over the 25 that fit on one page. I'll probably be closing or merging a few in the next day or 2. And there were 2 closed issues by 2 people and 6 issues opened by 5 people. There are now 774 open issues. We classify those issues into milestones. The most interesting milestones are the ones for the upcoming release, 10.00. We've got 23 issues we like to resolve for the 10.00 final release. There's 1 for 10.0 and a following issue, and 43 for 10xx. And then for CircuitPython 11, we've got 7 open issues for that. Those are things that we need to do after 10.4.11. Often we are getting rid of deprecated code, deprecated APIs, and things like that. And right now we have 0 issues not assigned a milestone. I just triaged the 1 issue that was not assigned a milestone before the meeting. So let's move on to libraries. And Tim, could you tell us about the libraries?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. This section covers all of the CircuitPython libraries. They are split into 2 main bundles. We have the Adafruit library bundle, which currently has 363 libraries in it, and we have the community library bundle with libraries contributed by third parties. That one has 165 libraries in it. So altogether right now there's 528 published libraries that support CircuitPython. Over the past 7 days for the Adafruit libraries. We had 10 pull requests merged by 4 different authors. A couple of these names that are newer or less frequent to my eye, at least. This week were Crack XT. I don't recall seeing before, and then Shubham 0x13. I think maybe I've seen before, but it's relatively infrequent. So thanks to those folks for being new or less frequent contributors this week. We had 5 reviewers, thanks to Liz, Justin, Tektrick, myself, and Dan for doing some reviews this week for libraries. Of the merged pull requests, they were all pretty much on the new side. The oldest one was only 8 days, and the newest handful were down at 1 day like usual. That leaves us right now with 43 open pull requests across all the Adafruit libraries. The oldest one is a draft that is out there, still hanging on at 1,026 days. The newest one is 6 days old right now, so we don't have any brand new ones open, it looks like, at least as far as this report knows. Issues-wise, we had 6 issues closed by 4 different people and 2 new issues opened up by 2 people. And that leaves us right now with 718 issues that are open across all of the Adafruit libraries. And there are 3 of those that are labeled as good first issues, which you would be able to find listed over at circuitpython.org/contributing, which is the website where you should head if you are interested in contributing to CircuitPython on the Python side of things. On that website, circuitpython.org/contributing, you will find a list of open PRs and a list of open issues. If you're looking to contribute, this is the place where we usually point folks to get started. If you're interested in reviewing, you can check out the list of open PRs. You can take a look at the code there. If you have the hardware for it, you can test it out. Otherwise, just look over the code for spelling, syntax, etc., logic, anything like that. Leave a comment on GitHub letting us know what you found when you looked it over. If you did have the hardware, let us know how it went when you were able to try it out. If you would like to get leveled up to leave official reviews on GitHub, after you get comfortable with the process, we can work with you to make that happen. If you would like to start getting your hands dirty contributing your own code rather than reviewing other code, you can also find that on circuitpython.org/contributing. If you click over to the issues page, there is a list of links over to GitHub issues where these ones are waiting for a person to come along who's interested in coding up some solution. This could be solving a bug, adding an enhancement, making a new feature, or a new example or something like that. If you do want to get involved, you can look through that list, find something that you either have some interest in, some knowledge about, or that you've got the hardware for. Click through to GitHub, read up on what the issue is, and then you can submit a pull request with a proposed solution to that issue. We do have a Learn Guide for contributing to CircuitPython using Git and GitHub. We also have folks who are more than happy to help out that are around on GitHub, on Discord, I should say. So if you are trying to contribute, whether that's reviewing or contributing your own code with pull requests. If you're having trouble with any part of the process, come say hi on Discord. Let us know what you're up to and what kind of trouble you're having. We'd be happy to help you out. And yeah, the updated libraries in the last 7 days are listed here in the notes doc if anyone wants to take a look at those. And that's what we've got for libraries this week. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Tim. And finally, I'll finish by talking about Blinka, which is our compatibility layer for CircuitPython on single board computers like Raspberry Pi. So we're not actually running CircuitPython, but we're running a library that lets you run CircuitPython code under CPython, which is a basic regular Python. All right, let me take a timestamp before I forget. So in the past week, there were no pull requests merged. There are 13 pull requests open. 1 issue was closed by 1 person and no issues were opened by nobody. So it seems like not a lot is going on right now. It's the beginning of summer and people are perhaps off for vacation and things like that. There are currently 154 open issues and they're in Blinka, and there are 162 boards that are now supported by Blinka, which is very nice. Okay, our next major section is called Hug Reports. Hug Reports is a chance to highlight folks in the CircuitPython community and beyond for doing awesome things. I'll start and then we'll go down the list of Hug Reports alphabetically. If you are text only or missing the meeting, I'll just read your notes when I get to them in the list. So as I start, I'd like to thank Badblock B, who fixed a build issue, and I'd like to thank Timeline 8, who fixed a issue with a particular board. I think it was a pins issue, but I don't remember quite right. Okay, next we've got David Glode, who's not here right now, but left notes. Thanks to Dan H. and Anecdata for help and suggestions for my network.py include file, which was discussed in the weeds in last week's meeting. And thanks to Foamy Guy for fruit jam work and a video. And finally, for Hug Reports, we've got Tim, Foamy Guy, again.
All right, I have a Hug report this week thanks to Shubham0x13 on GitHub, who submitted a new convenience feature for anchoring labels, and they were being willing to be open to feedback about moving it elsewhere and making it more generic so that other objects can use it. I appreciate folks who are willing to contribute and kind of work with us on how and where stuff goes. And that's what I have this week. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Tim. Okay, next up is the status update section. That's our chance to tell folks what we're up to individually. I'll start and we'll go through the list alphabetically, but there's only one other person, so that's pretty obvious. So when I call on people, they take a couple of minutes to talk about what they've been doing since the last meeting and what they'll be doing until the next meeting. That's the essence of this section. So let me take another timestamp and go on. Maybe I'll guess at a timestamp and then take a timestamp. All right. So in the last week, I've been merging MicroPython version 124.1 into CircuitPython. I just finished the initial file merging and comparing files to see that they're consistent. And I've started testing compilations and running tests. Naturally, there are compilation errors, and I'm sure there will be tests that fail also. But this looks like a relatively straightforward merge. After I do this, I'll merge version 1.25, which is the most recent version of MicroPython that has been released. And then also, I will also take some time and test the new C6 version of the Nina FW firmware for doing Wi-Fi and BLE on ESP32. There will be a ESP32 C6 on the FruitJam board, and it'll be able to do Wi-Fi and BLE. So just have to make sure that's working properly with CircuitPython. And next up is Tim.
All right, I have been working on a new guide for startup screens. This talks a bit generally about them and embeds some videos, which include lots of the game consoles and older computers and things like that. And it also details the experience that we had while working on the FruitJam startup screen. So that will be coming soon, probably next week or so. I also, on the deep dive, as mentioned last week, was working on the FruitJam library, adding support for the different peripherals that are built in. We got buttons, NeoPixels, and audio all working on the stream. And then once the new revision of hardware is available, I'll expand that to some of the network stuff as well. Like Dan alluded to, the new one will have a Wi-Fi coprocessor on it too. And then the last thing I have is over the weekend, on my own time, I was playing with some Factorio, integrating with CircuitPython. For anyone who doesn't know, Factorio is like a video game that is kind of, you run a factory and you try to automate creating things, but it pretty heavily draws in engineers and programmers, so it's kind of right up our alley. And I've been working on ways to integrate actual physical circuits into the game so that you can have a physical button or a knob or whatever control something in the game, or vice versa. You can have some signal in the game control some lights or whatever, speaker or anything like that in the real world. I have achieved successful communication both ways, and I do still want to do some refactoring to clean up some bits and get it into a state that is shareable and reproducible so that other people can use it. And I would like to document a bit about how it works. And I think I will probably make a playground page for that. And my hope is that maybe this can serve as a gateway or an introduction to microcontrollers and CircuitPython to folks in the Factorio community who might not know about it yet. And that is what I've been up to. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Tim. And our last section is In the Weeds. where we might have a longer form discussion about some topic that is either came out of status updates or that we've identified ahead of time. So if you can think of something to put in the weeds, feel free to do so before the meeting or even during the meeting if it occurs to you, and we can discuss it at the end. So our in the weeds item this week is kind of a meta discussion about right now, for various reasons, we only have only 3 hosts available to do the CircuitPython weekly meeting for now. We do have people assigned through the end of June. One question is whether we might start doing it every other week until we get more people back. And we have so few people available to discuss this today, I'm not sure how much we would say. So I think we will consult with Scott about this, who's away on leave right now, but might have something to say about this. Does anybody have anything else to say?
Yeah, I was going to say one thing I thought of to mention is our stats are in 7-day chunks, so it might be nice if we do relax down to the 2-week schedules, if we maybe grab 2 sets of stats. That'll be kind of extra copy pasting for whoever's running, but I think it would be nice if we could maybe double up on the stats so we continue to see mostly everything. There will still be like Tuesdays and stuff may still fall through the cracks if we get bumped, but I think it'd be nice if we could pull in those stats from the weeks that we skip as well.
Yes, I agree with that. And I was going to bring that up, and I was just wondering if we should try to combine those into a single report, but it would have to be done manually unless we changed this schedule.
Yeah, my guess is just copying them for now will be easier, but if it's kind of if we ever fall into it as a longer term thing, maybe Adabot could be updated, or actually it might be pretty easy to write some code that kind of comes after the fact and grabs the 2 reports and merges them together, rather than trying to make Adabot do it primarily. That might be fairly easy, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much. I mean, mostly it'd be a small amount of addition for a number of PRs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll think about this, and we'll see whether we really want to do every 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. So that kind of, I don't have anything else to say about this, so I think that kind of wraps it up for this week. Next week's meeting should be at the regular time on Monday, June 16th. And I'll write that down here. And thank you, all 4 of us, for attending today. And we hope maybe we'll have a few more people as the summer progresses and people aren't so busy. Okay. Take care, everybody. I'll stop recording.